Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. We are live. We'll see if Audit is going live today or if she's going to be live or Memorex. I am not on StreamYard today, so I can't tell who's on, who's not. We're going to pieces. I am going to go live with Tilty later. We're going to do an art session, but that's not until 3 o'clock. Let's see, let's set this up while I am on here. Let's see, join from the browser. Let's see, let's join. And then, god darn it, LAPD. Let's go back to the agenda. Open link in new tab. Launch. I forget, on LAPD we have to do I'm not looking at chat, you guys. I'll be there in just a second. Okay, that's gonna take a second to get popped in. What is on the agenda today? Crime report. Huh. Hey, Haggis. Hey, Traveltology. Hello, darlings. I'm back on my OBS today, so I can't highlight your comments. You have to only do so many hours on YouTube or on StreamYard. How are you today, Haggis? How are you today, Traveltology? Let me tell little Miss Audit that I'm live just in case she wants to hop on here. We were all up late watching. Hey, Brian, good morning to you. Good afternoon to you. I know, right? I can't wait. I've got a background painted waiting for us to paint together. I learned so much from them. Yep, let's see how this goes. So, Brian, did you ever want to call in? I probably should put the link on here. Let me go in here and copy the link. Copy link address. Here's the link if anybody wants it. Yeah, Haggis did a fabulous job on that website. All kudos and credit goes to Haggis. And T helped out. Wow, Haggis did a wonderful job on that. I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. Hey, Miriam. Good evening to ya. Well, you're more than welcome to, Brian. You can, Snorri McSnorpants is barking at the neighbors. Neighbors are out mowing their yard. And uh-oh, I can hear him coming down the... You're almost home from work? Oh, that'll be a good feeling. Yeah, I'm gonna put my phone on silent because it's been bothering me lately. Yeah, we'll give it a think, Brian. You have a lot to say. Your input is very valuable. You know, this is the tough one because they don't call on a lot of Zoom people every week. So it's a hit and miss. Definitely hit and miss on who they call. Ooh, I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. Tomorrow is Muriel's birthday too. She's your twin. Oh, that ought to be fun. I'm going to write that down because I'm going to forget, and I need to make sure that I remember Miriam's birthday tomorrow. Miriam's B-Day, 7/16. You're not going to be 25. You're only 22. Barely legal. Our barely legal Miriam. Tilty and I'll paint birthday pictures for you today. I know it's a little late for you, but if you're awake tonight, join us. What's that? The old movie Legally Blonde. Barely Legal. We have Miriam and her twin Muriel, Barely Legal. Okay, very cool. Yeah, it's about what, 9 your time, 9, 10 o'clock. But you get to sleep in the morning anyways. I'm gonna admit I've been struggling lately, guys. Yeah, I thought you're 6 hours ahead. What keeps me going definitely is some beautiful friendships, some beautiful people. Ah, very cool style. And good afternoon to you, little Miss Style. No, I was listening. I heard you. I listened to Anna and then you and Lara and Jill and Antics called in. I was there. I just wasn't able. Yeah, I know, right? And she didn't get called off topic either. That was funny. Excuse me. Which, sorry, I'm dying here. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I am kind of struggling with a little bit of a cold. It's not hard to put Scientology and the product of composting together. That's funny. But for a meeting, yeah, she struggled. And I can't believe they didn't call her off topic. They probably were like, yeah, just get through it. It's only another minute or two. Yeah, she didn't know if she was going to be there in person today or not. And she hasn't texted me back. She's probably sleeping. So either she's on her way and in the trains, which it's already 12:20, so she should be there by now. Or she's still asleep. Should we call her and wake her up? Oh, she's awake. Um, Style, the president of the police commission is also the president and one of the main people for the state for civil rights. And so civil rights, human rights is always a wonderful topic to connect the president of the police commission. Errol Southers is his name. And I do believe he's the president of the Civil Rights Board Commission/commission for the state. That would be a great connection for the Nelson Mandela Day. No, I did not know that, Peter. Could you, I can't grab it off from here because this is OBS, but if you email me the link, I will grab it and throw it on here. You did know that, Traveltology? Ah, very good. You guys are a step ahead of me. I wonder who from Scientology works in that organization. Do you? Wow, Haggis. Yeah, that's good to know that there's one for Canada. Let me see. Let's put that on just in case. Ah, well, you're a step ahead of me too, Traveltology. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, well, and let's keep that up. Hey, Danny, good morning. How are you doing today? Yep, let's keep the pressure up on all sides. Let's see. Copy link. Here is the link, should anybody would like it. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate you, darling. How are you doing, Danny? Pretty tired you woke up early. Well, 9:30 is not that early today, but I hear you. I've been waking up at 3:30 in the morning every single morning. And then I fall back to sleep. This morning, I fell back to sleep and I didn't wake up till 9 o'clock. I was shocked that I slept so late. My body really must have needed extra sleep, that's for sure. I could definitely use some allergy medicine though lately. Holy crap, it's just been horrible. I feel all puffy. Are you back in LA, Danny, or are you still in San Diego? Yeah, she had said something on her post earlier that she was not going to be Uh-oh, looks like we might be starting. I'm going to take me off. Yeah, I thought I saw in her post she said she was not going to be. Yay! Hi, Eyes to See. Yay! Today's your last day of radiation. Whoop whoop! Yay, yay! That is so awesome. Hey, Audit. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Oh, wakey uppy. Eyes to See. That is great information. Yay, yay! We are so happy for you. It's awesome. Get your life back a little bit. Get your time back. I know radiation only takes a few seconds to do, but going there, getting set up, have them put everything on you, get Zappoled, and then the time to travel home, that takes a half a day out of you. Hey, good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Lara. You gonna call in today? Here, I put the Zoom. Oops. Did I? Oh, there we go.
Recording in progress.
There it is. Here's, ooh, all right, cool beans. Here's the Zoom just in case. Oh, I see F-bomb guy is there making commotions again. Yep, I'm hoping they pick you.
Thank God for I can pilot. Like what? How can you? 9:30 or 2:30? That's the. You. Yes. I gotta sit my black ass down because that fool I heard tell me you're standing in the area. So shit. 9:30. Shut up.
Morning, Commissioners, Chief McDonald, Madam Secretary, Senior Management Analyst Jane Farber, Inspector General Matthew Barragan, Mr. City Attorney Carlos De La Guerra, and members of the public. Today is Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. It is 9:30 a.m. This is a regular meeting of the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Good morning. Please let the record reflect that Commissioners Southers, Shields, Garcia, Sanchez Gordon are present, and we have a quorum. Mr. President.
Thank you. We welcome everyone attending this morning. The Police Commission is committed to ensuring equal access to its meetings. It is requested that individuals who require the services of a translator contact the board secretary no later than the day preceding the meeting. Whenever possible, a translator will be provided. Sign language interpreters, assistive listening devices, or other auxiliary aids and/or services may be provided upon request. To ensure availability, you are advised to make your request at least 72 hours prior to the meeting you wish to attend. All public comment will be heard during item number 2 on the agenda. We will dedicate a total of 45 minutes to public comment. Members of the public will have 1 minute per agenda item for a maximum of 2 minutes total. At the request of the speaker will be given 1 additional minute for general public comment for a maximum of 3 minutes total. Members of the public, if you choose to participate in the public comment portion of the agenda, you can participate in this meeting in a number of ways outlined on the agenda. Members of the public who participate in public comment are reminded that they can speak to any item on the agenda or a matter within the jurisdiction of the Board of Police Commissioners. Public comment is your opportunity to address the board, so you are free to express your opinion on matters before the board and to generally express when you disagree with other opinions expressed. However, directing your comments to other individuals who've spoken or attacking others who've expressed their opinion shall be deemed off topic and your public comment period will be concluded. Message for those attending the meeting in person. These meetings are regular meetings between the board, the department, and key stakeholders. Meetings of the Board of Police Commissioners are open to the public. The state's Ralph M. Brown Act affords the public the opportunity to be present at the meetings, hear the presentations and dialogue in real time, and provide feedback via the public comment period. During these meetings, there is a need for the board to carry out the public business expeditiously without delays or disruptions. Members of the audience shall not engage in any conduct which causes an actual disruption of the meeting. Those attending in person are reminded that disruptive behavior will be cause for removal. If you disrupt this meeting, you will be provided with only 1 warning to cease disruptive behavior. If you fail to cease such behavior, you will be removed from the meeting. All attendees must be seated. Failure to follow this rule will result in a warning and/or removal from the meeting. Before we move on to agenda item number 1, I'd like to briefly touch on the mayor's recently issued Executive Directive number 12, which provides instructions to the commission, the police department, and other members of the city family regarding the ongoing situation regarding the federal government's immigration enforcement. Commissioner Sanchez-Gordon has volunteered to represent the commission and sit on the working group for this. She has my full support in doing so. So I'm sure there will be more to come on this issue, and Commissioner Sanchez-Gordon, thank you for your leadership on this matter. With that, we will move to item number 1, the report of the Chief of Police, Chief McDonald.
Morning, President Southers, Vice President Shields, Commissioners, Inspector General Barragan, and City Attorney De La Guerra, and a representative from the Police Commission. Today, I'll be covering key events from the past 2 weeks, share our latest crime trends, and provide an update on our staffing levels. On July 5th, 2025, at about 3:45 in the afternoon, Southwest Area Uniform Gang Enforcement Detail officers were conducting patrol along the Western Avenue corridor near Martin Luther King Park. Officers observed the suspect, later identified as Ernesto Sepulveda, riding a bicycle north on the sidewalk. The officers believed that Sepulveda possessed a handgun and initiated a pedestrian stop on the 3900 block of Southwestern Avenue. During the stop, Sepulveda suddenly fled from the officers. During the foot pursuit, Sepulveda removed a pistol from his waistband and fired at the officers, resulting in an officer-involved shooting. One officer was struck in the legs by gunfire. Sepulveda continued to flee south on Western Avenue and fired an additional round at backup officers. Sepulveda experienced a malfunction with his firearm and discarded the weapon before fleeing further into MLK Park. Responding officers continued to pursue Sepulveda on foot, and a non-categorical use of force occurred when Sepulveda was taken into custody. The officer injured by gunfire was transported to a local hospital. We received treatment for gunshot wounds to his legs and a graze wound to his cheek. Sepulveda was transported to a local hospital for laceration to his head. He was treated and cleared by medical staff for booking. No other officers or community members were injured during this incident, and a Blue Steel 9mm Polymer 80 ghost gun, loaded magazine, and discharge cartridge cases were recovered at the scene and booked as evidence. Force Investigation Division and Robbery Homicide Division investigators responded to the scene and are investigating the incident. On July 8th, the district attorney charged Sepulveda with 2 counts of premeditated attempted murder of a police officer and 1 felony count of carrying an unregistered loaded handgun. This incident is a reminder of the dangers our officers face every day. Thankfully, no other officers or community members were injured. I'm relieved to share that our officers expected to make a full recovery We're grateful for the excellent care he's receiving and for the outpouring of support from the community, our department, and fellow law enforcement agencies. Policing is unpredictable and often dangerous, but our officers continue to rise to the challenge every day they put on their uniform. I commend their actions that day, and I'm proud of them for everything they do for this city. Another incident on June 28th at approximately 10:50 p.m. Newton Area Gang Enforcement Detail uniform officers were in the area of Avalon Boulevard and 42nd Place when they observed the suspect, later identified as Ismail Hernandez, walking in the roadway armed with a handgun. As the officers drove toward Hernandez, he raised the handgun and discharged 2 rounds, and an officer-involved shooting occurred. Hernandez was struck by gunfire and fell to the pavement. Officers rendered aid to Hernandez until the arrival of Los Angeles Fire Department, who transported him to a local hospital where he remains in stable condition. A victim who was involved in a physical altercation with Hernandez prior to the OIS was treated at the scene by LAFD personnel for a minor injury. Force Investigation Division investigators determined Hernandez had threatened that victim and fired a handgun in his presence at the onset of the incident. No officers or other community members were injured during the incident. A Blue Steel Rossi .38 special revolver was recovered at the scene and booked as evidence. The cylinder of the revolver contained 5 spent cartridge cases. Force Investigation Division investigators continue to investigate this incident. Another incident on July 10th at approximately 6:20 in the evening. 77th Division Gang Enforcement Detail uniform officers were in the area of Crenshaw, south of Hyde Park Boulevard, when they observed a male suspect, later identified as James Toulouse, exit a parked vehicle armed with a handgun. Toulouse proceeded onto the sidewalk and became involved in a physical altercation with a male victim. As officers exited their vehicle to intervene, Toulouse discharged 1 round from his handgun, and an officer-involved shooting occurred. Toulouse was struck by gunfire and fell to the ground. Officers took Toulouse into custody and rendered medical aid until the arrival of LAFD personnel, who pronounced him deceased. Force Investigation Division investigators determined that the encounter began with a verbal altercation during which Toulouse fired a round at the victim. The victim involved in the altercation prior to the OIS was not injured. No officers or other community members were injured during the incident, and a black 9mm Taurus model G3C semi-automatic handgun was recovered at the scene and booked as evidence. The firearm contained 1 spent cartridge casing in the chamber and 1 live round in the magazine. Force Investigation Division investigators are investigating the incident. Another incident on July 13th at approximately 9:10 in the morning. Central Patrol Division uniformed officers responded to a radio call of an assault with a deadly weapon suspect in the area of South Figueroa Street and West Olympic Boulevard. The comments of the call indicated that a male suspect stopped his vehicle in the middle of the intersection, got out of the vehicle, and was swinging a sword at pedestrians. Upon arrival, officers observed the suspect, later identified as Gurpreet Singh, standing in the intersection holding a machete. Officers gave multiple commands for Singh to drop the weapon. However, he failed to comply. Singh then returned to his vehicle, retrieved a water bottle, threw it at the officers. He subsequently entered his vehicle and fled southbound on Figueroa Street while waving the machete outside the driver's side window. Officers initiated a brief vehicle pursuit, during which Singh drove erratically and collided with an officer's vehicle. A short time later, Singh stopped near Figueroa and 12th Street, got out of his vehicle while still armed with the machete, and charged at officers, resulting in an officer-involved shooting. Singh was struck by gunfire, fell to the pavement, and was taken into custody without further incident. Los Angeles Fire Department responded and transported Singh to a local hospital for medical treatment. A machete, 2 feet in length, was recovered at the scene and booked as evidence. No officers or community members were injured during the incident, and Force Investigation Division personnel are handling the investigation. Another incident on July 14th at approximately 8:30 in the morning. Hollenbeck Patrol Division uniformed officers responded to a call of a 415 man with a gun on Spence Street east of 8th Street. The comments of the call described the suspect and stated he was holding a possible assault rifle. Upon arrival, officers observed the suspect, identified as Jeremy Anthony Flores, in the driver's seat of a white utility van parked to the rear of 1262 Spence Street, holding an assault rifle. Additional resources were requested as Flores was ordered to exit the vehicle and drop the weapon. However, he refused to follow command, raised the rifle, and an officer-involved shooting occurred. Following the OIS, Flores remained non-compliant and refused to exit the vehicle. Metropolitan Division Special Weapons and Tactics was requested to assist with the incident, and after unsuccessful attempts to gain compliance, SWAT element members, along with the Tactical Emergency Medical Support Unit from the Los Angeles Fire Department, approached the vehicle. Officers made contact with Flores, who was unresponsive and still holding the rifle. Flores sustained multiple gunshot wounds, and personnel from the Thames unit immediately assessed him, determining he was deceased. The rifle recovered from Flores's hand was an MP5-style automatic BB airsoft rifle capable of firing metallic projectiles. The rifle was booked as evidence. No officers or other community members were injured during the incident, and again, Force Investigation Division personnel are handling the investigation. Year to date, we've had 25 officer-involved shootings compared to 18 at this time last year. Due to the increase in OISs this year, I asked our Critical Incident Review Division to examine all such incidents that occurred between January 1st and July 13th for both 2024 and 2025. Their analysis identified three notable areas where significant difference emerged between the 2 years. First, the use of intermediate force options such as less lethal tools was present in 10 incidents in 2025 compared to 4 incidents during the same period in 2024, for a 150% increase. This suggests that officers are actively attempting to de-escalate situations whenever possible and are turning to intermediate force options in an effort to avoid using deadly force. Unfortunately, even with those efforts, there are circumstances where the threat escalates rapidly and the officers are forced to respond with lethal force to protect themselves or others. But this increase does indicate that officers are making use of available tools excuse me, to try and resolve volatile incidents safely. Second, when looking at the source of activity, radio calls were a contributing factor in 18 incidents this year, excuse me, compared to 8 last year, 125% increase. This suggests a greater proportion of our shootings are stemming from calls for service rather than self-initiated activity. Lastly, and perhaps most concerning, is the rise in incidents involving suspects armed with either real firearms or replica or pellet guns. In all of 2024, we had 10 such incidents, 8 with real firearms and 2 with replica firearms. As of mid-July 2025, we've already seen 15 incidents, 7 involving real firearms and 8 involving replicas. That's a 50% increase compared to all of last year, and we're only halfway through 2025. These replica and pellet guns often look identical to real firearms, especially in high-stress, fast-moving situations. That makes it incredibly difficult for officers to assess the threat in the moment, which significantly raises the risk for everyone involved, officers, suspects, and members of the public. This data does not provide a complete answer, but it begins to shed light on some of the factors contributing to the rise in officer-involved shootings this year. We're continuing to study these incidents carefully and are committed to transparency and accountability as we work to better understand these trends. On July 12th, a tragic discovery was made in the Mission area involving the death of a young child. At approximately 6:45 a.m., a community member searching for recyclables found the body of a child in a dumpster behind a commercial building on Van Nuys Boulevard. Los Angeles Fire Department responded and pronounced the child deceased at the scene. Investigators from our Juvenile Division's Abused Child Section, along with personnel from the coroner's office, responded immediately. The child appeared to be between 5 and 7 years old and showed signs of trauma. At this time, the child has not been identified and no missing persons report matching the description have been located. Investigators canvassed the area for surveillance footage and identified several potential sources of evidence and are following up on all leads. We're coordinating with regional partners and continuing efforts to identify the victim and determine the circumstances surrounding this tragic incident. On July 6th, the Street Racing Federal Task Force, comprised of LAPD Street Racing Task Force, Operation Central Bureau Patrol, and Vice units, and our partners from the LA County Task Force for Regional Auto Theft Prevention, or TRAP, conducted a large-scale enforcement operation targeting illegal street racing and takeovers. During the evening, officers disrupted 14 separate street takeovers, made 16 misdemeanor arrests and 2 felony arrests, and conducted 26 traffic stops, resulting in 44 citations and 13 vehicle impounds. 3 individuals were arrested for exhibition of speed, and their vehicles were impounded with 30-day holds. Undercover officers also identified several other vehicles involved in reckless driving during these takeovers. Those vehicles are currently pending judicial seizure warrants, and if approved by the court, will be targeted for seizure. Our department is committed to holding participants accountable and sending a clear message. Street takeovers are not only illegal, they're extremely dangerous, and they won't be tolerated in our city. Some traffic-related trends. When it comes to traffic safety, I'm pleased to share that we're seeing some encouraging trends so far this year. As of today, we've had 128 fatal traffic collisions compared to 151 at the same time last year, for about a 15% decrease. While even one life lost is too many, that reduction is meaningful and shows we're moving in the right direction. What really stands out is the drop in DUI-related fatal collisions. We've had 3 this year compared to 15 last year, for an 80% decrease. That's a significant shift, and one that likely reflects the impact of our DUI checkpoints, proactive enforcement, and public awareness efforts. We're also seeing improvements in other areas. Hit-and-run collisions that resulted in injury or death are down about 9%, and vehicle versus pedestrian collisions with injury or death have gone down by 13%. I truly believe these numbers reflect the hard work of our officers out in the field, whether it's through traffic stops, visibility, and our use of strategic checkpoints. We're doing everything we can to keep our streets safe, and we'll keep working at that every day. On July 12th, our officers made a significant arrest involving a burglary crew that's been under investigation since May. Known to detectives as the Tucson Crew, this group is believed to be responsible for a series of organized burglaries throughout the city. During a coordinated operation involving Metropolitan Division B Platoon and Southeast Gang Enforcement Units, officers observed the suspects committed an attempted residential burglary in West Valley Division. A follow-up response was initiated, and the suspects returned to a known hangout location in South Los Angeles. As officers moved in to make the arrest, the suspects fled. 3 were taken into custody right away, and the 4th was found shortly after with the help of a canine unit and a perimeter set up by responding officers. All 4 were booked for residential burglary. Each has an extensive criminal history that includes prior arrests and convictions for burglary, robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, and firearms offenses. That was a great team effort by all that were involved in this. A crime picture overall as of July 12th, we're seeing mixed crime trends across the city. Overall, when comparing the most recent 4-week period to the prior 4 weeks, combined Part 1 violent and property crimes are down by 5.6%, excuse me, with property crimes down 7.5% and violent crimes holding steady with a slight increase of 0.3%. Homicides year-to-date are down nearly 30% citywide compared to this time last year, which means 50 fewer lives lost. When looking at victims shot, we're still trending down year-to-date with an 8.7 reduction compared to last year. However, over the most recent 4-week period, we saw a concerning 23% increase in shooting victims citywide. This increase was driven by sharp spikes in Rampart and Southeast areas. Southeast alone accounted for 21 shooting victims, up from 7 the previous period, with multiple gang-related multi-victim incidents contributing to that rise. Additional resources are being allocated to the affected areas, along with resources from our Community Safety Partnership Bureau. Excuse me. Aggravated assaults citywide are down 4.4% over the last 4 weeks, while robberies are up 11.6% citywide over the last 4 weeks. The most significant increases occurring in Southeast, Central, and Hollywood areas. We've seen a 21.8% rise in firearms-related robberies, and strong-arm robberies now make up just over half of all incidents. In addition to these overall increases, 2 distinct robbery series have emerged. One involves targeted robberies of Uber Eats drivers, with 8 such incidents reported so far. 1 Metro Crime Impact teams are actively working to identify those responsible. We've also seen a pattern of taco stand robberies involving 2 male suspects. There have been 5 reported cases of this type spanning Wilshire, Northeast, and Hollywood areas. Detectives are pursuing leads in both series and are hopeful arrests will be made in the near future. Burglaries overall are relatively flat, down 0.7% over the last 4 weeks. Residential burglaries remain steady, while non-residential burglaries dropped slightly. Motor vehicle thefts are up 7.2, or 98 additional vehicles taken across the city. The top targeted makes are Kia, Hyundai, Chevrolet, Toyota, and Ford, with models like Elantra, Silverado, Optima, and Tacoma being stolen most frequently. And our personnel strength currently is 8698 for sworn personnel. Civilian personnel staffing is 2,641, and our reserve officers remain at 354. That concludes my report to the commission, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And thank you for taking the initiative on the officer-involved shooting information, the analysis that you provided regarding the intermediate use of force, the number of radio calls, and the weapons involved. Certainly what we've seen is that intermediate use of force is being used quite frequently and routinely to de-escalate. Also, thank you for the information. I was able to visit with the Southwest officer who was shot, and visit with him and his family, hoping for a full and speedy recovery. The only question I have, Chief, is have there been any help or kidnap radio calls since your June 27th directive to patrol with regarding how to identify federal agencies that might be in the field asking for assistance?
Yeah, I'll have to check to see when the kidnap and progress calls were made to see if there were any since that time. But we've tried to be as direct as we can and to be able to provide information to our people in the field that and communications division, when the call comes in, to dispatch a unit code 3 for kidnapping in progress, along with the supervisor, that when the officers get there to request a supervisor if one wasn't dispatched, and then to make to make a determination using whatever tools are available at the time to see, are the individuals there federal agents or are they others that could be potentially impersonating, which I know has been an expressed concern of many, that there are people out there potentially engaged in that kind of activity. We have not seen that here in Los Angeles, but certainly are looking for it.
Thank you. I'll defer to my colleagues for questions and comments. I'll start with Vice President Shields.
Thank you, Chief, for the report. And I echo President Suthers. Thank you for proactively looking at potential causes in the increase of officer-involved shootings. I think we've had 2 weeks and a lot of activity. And obviously, every individual case will be fully, investigated and then brought to the commission for review. And you identified a few trends, but one of the concerning trends that I'm seeing is not only individuals armed with firearms, but actually shooting at officers and having an officer actually shot. And it seems like that is something that's been increasing and again magnifies and the issues that officers face on a daily basis. And I hope that the officer who was shot recovers very quickly. Is this a trend that we're seeing nationwide, or other departments faced with kind of an increase in individuals armed and actively shooting at officers, or is this a little bit more unique to Los Angeles?
No, we have seen these kind of trends across the country. We've seen in the last 5 or 6 years suspects being more brazen in their approach to police as they interact in the field. I think that's part of the political times that we've been going through for quite a period of time now, which has had an impact certainly on our folks who are in the field, but I think also on our ability to recruit and retain the best people. So there's a societal cost to this type of behavior over a long period of time, and certainly one we're very concerned about.
And thank you for telling us about the very tragic finding of the young child that is dead. Have there been any tips or any outreach to the community to tell people to report if they know of anyone who is missing. Unfortunately, it sounds like there's very bad potential foul play at hand, and hopefully that would help the investigation.
Yeah, we certainly have made, detectives have made a plea for help from the community. Anybody with information to please call the LAPD and let us know what you may know. Nothing would be too insignificant. It might be a piece of the puzzle that we wouldn't otherwise have and be able to bring some closure to this case. Certainly one that everybody who has been involved in it is impacted by it. Very, very tragic circumstances. Our detectives have been working around the clock to be able to put it all together, and are using every available resource they have to do that. And so I would ask for anybody who may have information of any kind, please let us know.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Follow up to the question that Commissioner Shields asked. So you mentioned that the sort of shooting at officers is a trend nationwide in the last 5 years. I'm curious and to know what is the department doing more lately as sort of in response to the National Guard being here and DHS, and what are we doing to distinguish the LAPD officers versus those folks on the ground, but also what are we doing in terms of messaging to the community? And those two may not be related, right? The flagrant trend and the recent, but there potentially is something that we can do to try to maintain or build up community trust.
Thank you.
From that framing.
Thank you, Commissioner. No, very, very important. We've made every effort we can, every chance we get to talk to the public about what the role of the LAPD is and has been for 46 years as it relates to civil immigration enforcement. And it is that we do not engage in civil immigration enforcement. The issue of the National Guard and Marines being deployed in the area, I think the public has a perception that they are on the street. They are charged with, and their mission is to protect federal assets, federal buildings, and federal employees as they carry out their duties. And it's not to do what LAPD does on the streets of Los Angeles. And so I think there has been some confusion about that in the eyes of many in our community. But we want to be able, as best we can, to relieve anxiety, let people know the LAPD are here for you, for everyone, and that we encourage everyone who is a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime to call us and participate in the process, because otherwise we can't be effective. And in order for us to have legitimacy in all of our communities and to be able to build public trust, it's important that everybody understands what our role is and what it isn't. Thank you.
Ma'am, this is not the public comment time. This is the Chief's report. You can speak when public comment starts. Thank you. Commissioner Sanchez-Gordon.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chief.
Good morning.
I do want to go back to the report about the increase in officer-involved shootings, 25 to date, and we're only in July, compared to 18 all of last year. That is a troubling trend, and you did indicate some of the factors that may be contributing to that. But however, I think reports citywide have been that homicide in and of itself is down in the city. So I find that to be a troubling aspect of all of this. And I know that you mentioned that there are replica firearms and pellet guns that make it difficult for the officers to determine in that moment the level of threat and what is real and what is not real. You also indicated that you're going to study some of these incidents, and I think that's a critical and important way to handle this. But apart from the adjudicated cases that we will see probably in about a year on these cases, I would like to see what results come from those reports that you're moving forward on these increase of officer-involved shootings. So if you can kind of keep us abreast
Sure.
of those reports, I'd appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item number 2, public comment period. Madam Secretary, please announce the first speaker.
Mr. Herman?
Sorry, Madam Secretary, please repeat the name of the first speaker.
Mr. Herman?
Thank you.
Yes, good morning, everyone. It's time to talk about case 225 CV 05917 for the record. United States Bill C versus the City of Los Angeles. Karen Bass, Mayor of Los Angeles, in her official capacity of Los Angeles City Councilman Marquise Harris Dodson, President of the Los Angeles City Council, in his official capacity. Now, what is the supremacy clause here of the conduct of LAPD? I want to know, because talking about Code 3 and kidnapping, it's all a bunch of bullshit. Bottom line is, goddamn motherfuckers, arrogant idiots. No offense, Mr. Attorney down there, Carlos, but such discriminatory targeting of the federal government is unlawful under intergovernmental immunity doctrine, United States versus Washington 596, US 832, 839, 2022. Thank you, Ms. Pam Bondi. A state law discriminates against the federal government if it singles them out for less favorable treatment, Mr. Attorney, just like you treat me, you piece of shit. Under such regulations, by unfavorably on the basis related to government status. Once again, for the record, supremacy clause. Carlos?
Mr. Herman, is that lawsuit named LAPD?
No, it's
then it's
called
off topic.
Fuck
Off topic.
Los
Off
Angeles.
topic. Move on.
I'm moving on, asshole, under the Bain Act 52.1, as I may continue.
No.
Yes, take
Stay
note, asshole,
topic.
that the
Stay on topic. Stay on topic.
inflation, you're fucked up mayor that suppresses our community and gives our fucking money away to illegal immigrants, illegal activities, illegal police, illegal bullshit, and your illegal fucking active duty to tell me under the color of authority. Fuck you, Carlos.
You're off topic.
Mr.
Move
Herman,
on.
you're
Yes.
off
You're
topic.
done.
I'm going back to my 18 seconds, Mr. Southers. I do appreciate good officers, but there are officers who are involved in fucking cadets. There are teachers that fuck children, and this fucking society in Los Angeles is all fucked up. Thank you, Donald Trump, for saving.
Thank you.
Next, we have defend the LAPD.
Hi, good morning. All items, please.
3 minutes.
Thank you. Yesterday, during one of the few monthly staff meetings the chief hasn't canceled, he addressed the RAND report, an expensive and wasteful project. The recommendations were underwhelming and basic. Hire more officers, boost morale, fix the complaint system. And still, no one in the room said a word or asked questions. That silence speaks volumes. LAPD has created a culture where even command staff are afraid to speak up, because if you do, the chief's inner circle will make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about. This administration has made that climate worse. It's been almost a year since you became chief, and there is still no movement on the reorg. And Chief, it's shameful that you've canceled most general staff meetings, senior staff meetings, several of your direct report briefings, and your scheduled meetings with the department's affinity groups. The disconnect is growing and morale continues to sink. So I'll say it again. Go to defendthelapd.org and read the LAPD Staffing and Deployment Reform Report I released in May. It didn't cost a dime. I wrote it after interviewing hundreds of your own officers from patrol to deputy chiefs. The solutions are there, real practical steps that address staffing, misused personnel, and morale. We're down 1,400 officers with another 500 out sick, not including IODs. Sworn officers are still sitting in roles that should be eliminated altogether. They are outdated, wasteful positions that drain field resources. The city and Mayor Bass claim to be $800 million in debt, but continues spending hundreds of dollars per person per month on services for illegal aliens. Then they had the chutzpah to ask LAPD officers to renegotiate their contract while overworked and understaffed. It's unacceptable. Chief, stop bowing down to and respecting a mayor who has no respect for the law or law enforcement. Even senior leaders are looking elsewhere, and this department is nowhere near prepared for the 2028 Olympics or any major citywide event. Chief, I know you understand what's happening. You may believe your hands are tied. We all saw what happened to the fire chief when she dared to speak up, but you've had your career, you've earned the pensions, you returned as a respected leader, and in just 8 months, that respect is unraveling. Is that really how you want to retire? Now is the time to be the hero. Be the hero who puts officers and victims first. Be the hero who stands up to the mayor and city council. Be the hero who fights to restore LAPD's independence, even if it means losing your job. You won't be disrespected for standing up, but you are losing respect by staying quiet. And finally, don't ignore the animals in Skid Row and across the city. Dogs in the possession of homeless are being raped, abused, injected with drugs, bred, and sold. LAPD must restore the Animal Cruelty Task Force, and animal services must enforce spay and neuter laws. Thank you.
Next, we have Todd Rogers. Andrew Grabner.
Starting off with the Chiefs report. The Chiefs report should be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes at every meeting. Today took 18 minutes, and that was just his initial period of lying before the period of questioning where he lied some more. So today, once again, McDonald repeated the lie, and it is a lie that the LAPD does not assist immigration enforcement, Trump immigration officials, ICE, things like that. It is a blatant, easily verifiable lie. The LAPD repeatedly assists ICE, both on the ground itself, when, people are calling you because they think because they've got they got masked thugs, kidnapping people off the streets and throwing them into unmarked vans, and the LAPD comes up and you protect ICE. You help them. You push back protesters. You attack protesters. There are multiple cases of that happening, and the LAPD shares data with ICE. The LAPD, you help ICE and you lie about it to the public to the point people think you aren't helping them, but you are. You're repeatedly helping them, and people are trusting you that you're not, even though you are, because you keep going in the media, keep lying and saying that you're not helping them when you're repeatedly helping them every single day. And you talk about this whole and we got the riot, a massive increase in the amount of times the LAPD is shooting people. Should remind you, Jim, that part of the reason that Michael Moore was pushed out, your predecessor, was because the LAPD was shooting so many people, and it's skyrocketing under you from where it was even previously. So looks like maybe the same thing's about to happen to you. You're about to be pushed out because the LAPD is the most murderous police department in the nation, or at least one of the most, and it's rising. You're killing more and more people every year. Again, that was part of why Moore was pushed out, because the LAPD was killing so many people. So it's skyrocketing under you. And you do this whole, we're going to do some investigations into it. It's because the officers know that when they shoot people, they're not going to be held accountable, because this commission is going to come up with some reason why what they were doing was in policy, even when they were just brazenly shooting people left and right for no clear cause. So, I mean, that's what this department is. You're murdering people left and right, assisting ICE.
Mona M. Mona.
Yes, can you hear me?
Hi, yes. What items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, commissioners. My heart and prayers go out to the officers and also the child found. That all comes well for that. I guess you're wondering why I'm here every week. In March of the year before, a help sign was put in a window of the Blue Building of Scientology. Officers were called, and when they got there, they checked with security and then just left, kapoof. They didn't even investigate the sign, and I'm sure the person that put it there was punished. After the incident, the planners were placed there to stop demonstrators. The street was closed off to further deny them of their First Amendment rights. People are not there protesting the religion, but the abuse and the human trafficking within the so-called religion. I'm very appreciative that the street closures have stopped or at least been abated. I have to admit that there's been much improvement with that. Next, there was a gentleman that was trafficked here from another state. Scientology put him out on the street with $12 left to his name and no way to get back home to the other state, or even a room for the night. Why? Because they found out he was gay. Not only was this a moral ethical violation, it was a criminal infraction, not only city, but state and federal. It violated not only the city civil laws, civil rights laws, but also labor violations. And if past predicates what the future holds, the LAPD has been safe pointed by Scientology, and they know victims won't report. Adults and children are physically and mentally abused, mentally tortured, sexually exploited, held in their jail without due process, and trafficked from other states and countries. Scientology is an abusive, torturing, human trafficking cult that no kids or adults should be a part of. I come here to remind you of your duty to protect and serve the children and citizens of Los Angeles. Remove any affiliation Scientology has with your advisory boards, including the CPABs. Thank you, and I yield back my time.
Next, we have Michael Ackerman.
The police are refusing to do their jobs in this city and elsewhere. They are refusing to make required records. They're refusing to do serious investigations. The police oversight bodies have failed as well. I am requesting that each of you personally issue public statements requesting that the governor send criminal investigators from the National Guard to look into extreme police misconduct in this city and elsewhere. This will cost residents nothing and is a simple way for you to demonstrate that you care about residents and officers. The reason this step is necessary is because the military is set up to insulate its members from outside duress in a way that may not be practical for peace officers. Last year, the governor deployed lawyers from the National Guard to work as prosecutors in San Francisco and Alameda counties, so you can see that they do jobs besides riot police and border guards. If you are unwilling to take this modest action to protect vulnerable people, I'd appreciate knowing your reasons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Steve Riley.
Good morning.
Good morning. What items would you like to speak on?
All items, please.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Thank you. First, I'd like to offer prayers for the injured officer, and I continue to pray for officers every day for their safety and for the safety of the public, especially the victims, the potential victims. I wrote a letter which has been posted under the name Steve Riley, yours truly, and it is about the 287G program. Now, Local, state, and federal law enforcement should be working together. I made this point last week, but it really needs to be driven home. What should be happening to keep the public safe and to make ICE operations safer for everyone concerned is that when an arrest is made, there should be an ICE agent or an officer trained by ICE, maybe a jail or a station officer, to check on the status of that individual. If they are a removable, deportable alien, that should take place. That would make everything safer for everyone. We really need a city government that believes in enforcing the rule of law at all levels. Now, I don't care if you came from China or Ireland or Mexico or wherever. Illegal is illegal. It's very, very clear. Speaking of enforcing the law, now last week I was interrupted twice by an unknown person. And there is a law 403 PC, California code, disrupting a public meeting. And it's done in the presence of the chief, the sergeant at arms, LAPD personnel, the police commission. It is a misdemeanor crime. And I don't know if this person is a repeat offender. I couldn't see the person, but that sends a bad message that violations of the law are, I don't know, they're normalized. And that's not good. And that's why we've had for many years in Los Angeles, the normalization of illegal status people being very conspicuous, being very obvious, and complained of at different locations. And so when that happens, you have to have an enforcement of the law. Great report, Chief. It was very comprehensive. I want to say I back the LAPD in doing its job. I also back what was said by Defend the LAPD. There were some good points made there. I hope everyone reads the letters that I send. I only get 3 minutes to speak here, but the letters are meant to provide better public safety for everyone, including the safety of the officers and the safety of the public. Thank you. God bless the LAPD and God save Los Angeles.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, excuse me. You've put your middle finger up in front of that camera about a half dozen times. That's a disruption of the meeting. The next time you do it, you're going to be removed. Madam Secretary, please announce the next speaker.
Next, we have Jonathan Foster.
Hello, Jonathan Foster. Just want to say the ICE that were urinating need to be arrested and put on the sexual offenders database. Let's do this one.
I will quibble with you potentially about whether the rise of the number of complaints shows that there's more trust in the public, in the Department of Policing itself. I don't know if I fully believe that statement that was made. I think we may agree to disagree. I will quibble.
Yeah, I disagree too. So maybe I'll get back to that. What I wanted to talk about today is what I left with the last meeting. There was a guy in red is holding Anthony Soul down on the ground. He has a bad heart. He's on drugs, but he's pushing him down, right? And then he goes limp. And then I want to import the story about the girl that was brain dead. She was beat up at a 7-Eleven, and the dad had to take her off life support. So really what was happening, this points to Anthony Soul was brain dead before the LAPD got there. The guy in red killed him. Okay, that's the same thing that happened to George Floyd, right? But I wanted to point out something, that the guy in red ran down Anthony Soul, and it's kind of like Zimmerman. Zimmerman was told, you don't need to follow the suspect. Trayvon Martin is dead. The guy in red ran down Anthony Soul. Anthony Soul is dead, right? That's a murder, and nobody is putting it up for murder, right? Today, you're doing Lavelle Adams. Lavelle Adams is dehydrated. He has no sleep, right? He's just like Yang Yang, Linda Massera Moran. All of these people did not need to be shot. Also today, Lavelle Adams, he was on the ground, okay? This is why I am the president. I am the chief of police. You don't mean a damn thing, bro. because they could have got net guns. Okay, I did a search on net guns. I saw the price for net guns about $800. Some of them are 15. That I saw for 3,000. That was the first time, right? Then the second time, hours later, he comes out when the SWAT's there with the blanket over him, but then he does lunge with the knife, right? Could have shot him another time before he lunged. Could have shot him another time with a net gun. I saved this guy's life twice. How come you, Chief, didn't save his life? It's because you're ineffective and you need to leave. You four need to leave. And nobody has listened to me suggest a very simple net gun that would have saved at least 10 people, and you have not listened. This is why I am the chief of police. I protect the police department.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mirjam.
Hello.
Hi, what items would you like to speak on?
All.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm here once again to address criminal activity by the cult of Scientology. We are talking about human trafficking, child abuse, psychological torture, forced imprisonment, and systematic cover-ups, all happening under the false front of a religious organization. Scientology has freely continued their abusive operations because LAPD has looked the other way. Why? Because former and current officers have joined their payroll and LAPD receives annual donation from the cult. No one has responded to the survivors' cry for help. This is not about religion. This is about crime, about people being held against their will, about people being cut off from their families, psychologically broken, and used as free labor, about victims too scared to speak out because your department has shown again and again that you will not protect them. The fear victims carry is made heavier by your silence. The message you've sent for years is this: we will not protect you. We will cover for them. The time for hiding behind bureaucracy is over. The time for the internal rot, for protecting corrupt ties between Scientology and law enforcement is over. We're at the 25th hour. It is past time. This is the moment to start investigating and stop protecting. The victims are watching. The city is watching. In fact, the entire world is watching. And history will not be kind to those who fail to act when they had the chance. Thank you.
Next, we have Margarita Carranza. Okay. William Good. Oh, I'm sorry.
Good morning. Good morning, Chief McDonald. This is my third time here, and I'm pleading for justified investigation. I am a victim of identity fraud and forgery by my hired attorneys. I have submitted, I went to Van Nuys Police Department and I filed a report, and the report was done May 17th of last year. I have not had anything investigated. If anything, these attorneys are producing fraudulent documentation. I sued them in Chatsworth Court, and Judge Fowler refused to accept attorney-drawn documents as original documents. I never knew that they never communicated with me what they were doing on two different cases. They never communicated with me that City of Los Angeles cross-complained the property owner to pay half of the liability that these attorneys demanded. And they in turn tell me I only got 25,000. It's ridiculous. And what they are producing, like the judge said, they're attorney-drawn documents. They're covering the multi-million-dollar approval by the city of Los Angeles, City Attorney Mike Fewer and Deputy Attorney Ronald Whitaker. They both terminated City Hall 2022, the same year that my check was issued, 2022, the same year that I sued these attorneys, 2022. And they have the audacity to say that I signed, that I approved. I never signed one document for these people. I hired them over the telephone, and I never approved a settlement with the city. I never approved a settlement out of court with a market videotaped accident that I had that made me replace my left knee. That's how bad the accident was, besides other bones that were broken. And these attorneys have robbed me blind by using my identification and signing my name without my knowledge. I am pleading for this to be investigated immediately, please. And don't let them fool you. He is a criminal law specialist, and she is a premises injury specialist. I'm pleading, Chief McDonald, please have Detective Ward open this up. She closed it in January 2025 without my knowledge. This is the detective that failed to investigate.
Thank you.
Next, we have William Good.
Good morning. So we're an hour into the meeting, and nobody has mentioned the fact that the LAPD has had a restraining order issued against it. You guys aren't even going to mention anything about that? These guys are using less lethal weapons against journalists, and a federal judge had to step in and issue a restraining order. Nobody mentions that? And I got to tell you something. You know, I've been out there in protest for the last month and a half. I have never, in the last 5 years, seen the LAPD more brutal than they are right now. Now, the use of force directive number 3 from 2023 said they can only use 40 millimeter batons if somebody is posing an immediate threat. But time and time again, they are using it just to move crowds. Now, he's not here today, but my friend Jason Reedy was out in front of the LAPD headquarters with his hands up like this, and Detective Rick Linton lit him up with a fucking baton. And then a lawyer, Richie Sergienko, was backing away, and Rick Linton shot him. And then Shakir Rahman went and asked this officer to identify himself. So I think it's important to note that Shakir is responsible for suing and getting the pictures of the cops, getting their badge numbers and updated rosters. And he just wanted this officer who was completely out of control to identify himself. And he refused to, and he refused to, and he refused to, even though Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton was standing right there. But Linton took his name off his helmet and then shot Shakir too, twice, because he said he was bothering him. Now, Deputy Chief Rimkonis was on the New York Times interview last week saying that we do not use less lethal 40 millimeter batons on people unless they pose an immediate threat. They're throwing things, rocks, bottles. None of that happened. And I watched it. 90% of these shootings with these batons has been the same thing. Nobody's doing shit except backing away. You are using them for crowd control, which is against your policies. Now, I'm going to file complaints over all this shit. And I don't expect any of you guys to do anything properly and hold them accountable. So I'm going to hold you accountable. RashaShields.com. I bought that. ErrolSouthers.com. I bought that. TeresaSanchezGordon.com. I bought that. I bought your name too. I just bought your name back here. And the same thing with Django too. I am going to put your record on how you don't hold anybody accountable up on this website, because I think you're going to run for office one day. And I think you're going to have a hard time running for office when people are showing your record on this commission.
Gabriel Fernandez.
Good morning. I am a parishioner at Dolores Mission and a member of LA Voice, a multi-faith community of over 65 congregations representing over 40,000 families in LA County. We stand together in solidarity and work with each other to advocate for a just society. I'm here this morning to inquire about LAPD's adherence to Chief McDonald's directive from June 27, in which LAPD officers were issued guidance to verify the identities of unknown masked individuals in LA and to take appropriate enforcement action if an individual is not a legitimate federal officer. How many times has LAPD verified the identity of masked individuals or taken appropriate action since the chief's instructions were given? We would like to see some data on that at the next meeting or the meeting after. Secondly, how will the LAPD working group be constituted in accordance with Mayor Bass's July 11 directive, in which she specifically directed LAPD to form a working group with the mayor's office, immigration rights groups, and community leaders to inform further guidance on interacting with federal agents within city limits? Who specifically is invited to do this work, and when will it start? Finally, I implore you all to regain the trust of the people of Los Angeles. We are in a moral moment in this city that tests all of our consciences and demands that we do more for our besieged city and county. We have seen tax-paying residents who pay city and county taxes to support law enforcement apprehended from our streets and ripped away from their loved ones, while the LAPD has stood by and provided logistics and crowd control. This moment demands that our law enforcement professionals actively protect and serve our community. Our law-abiding, hardworking, and cherished neighbors deserve and expect your professionalism. Thank you for your time and service.
Thank you.
Arturo Marquez.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chief McDonald, and sworn and civilian personnel. I'm Arturo Marquez. I'm a native Angelino. I love my city. I love this region. I'm an active member of this community. I'm a parishioner of Dolores Mission Church, and I'm an active member of the athletic club. I'm here this morning to ask you about our protection, because I do feel safe. I think our departments here across the county do a great job, including the city. But I really need to ask you about our protection, and especially those of us that are Hispanic and are being profiled and targeted. We are approximately about 47% of this diverse city's population, and the fear is real for all of us. The individuals who do not identify themselves, and I've seen this personally, are profiling us, and they themselves are hauling away U.S. citizens and just people that they think look Hispanic. Waiting for a bus to go to the office or to go buy groceries does not feel safe right now. And I ask you, are these unidentified individuals, are they or are they not federal agents? Are they bounty hunters or are they kidnappers, which is a real concern. It is horrible to feel and have a personal feeling that our federal agencies are really at war with us here in Southern California. Please let us know, Chief and Commissioners, how you are going to protect us from this real fear. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Chun. David Chun. Okay. Amina Gonzalez.
So this is to the Police Commission. On July 6th, Refused Fascism applied for a First Amendment special events permit for a planned event to be held on Thursday, July 17th at 5 p.m. The Disappeared, an artistic Cuban installation, a recreation of the disappearance and torture of people sent by the Trump fascist regime to El Salvador's CICAD concentration camp. This is a site-specific human installation taking place in front of the LA Federal Building in downtown LA, where immigrants have been abducted by ICE agents or the National Guard and Marines have been permanently stationed. In response to this permit application, the LAPD informed us that a number of organizations sponsoring different events have also applied for First Amendment special events permits in LA in this next period, and that the LA Police Commission will not be providing First Amendment permits. Not to Refuse Fascism, not to other organizations. We have applied for permits granted by the LA Commission on a First Amendment permit to hold dozens of rallies, marches, and stationary events for the past 10 years. And never once has a First Amendment permit application been denied. LAPD's stated reason for denying the First Amendment permit application is that LADOT has decided not to provide services due to lack of personnel and funding. The LAPD has provided personnel and resources alongside the National Guard and Marines when ICE and DHS carry out illegal and unconstitutional raids across LA, terrorizing and kidnapping immigrants while suppressing people asserting their First Amendment right to protest. Yet the LAPD has declared due to lack of personnel, resources, and funding, no special event permits will be issued for First Amendment street protests and activities in LA. This is illegal, unconstitutional, and tantamount to depriving citizens of the LA the right to peacefully permitted protests. The city of LA cannot tolerate this spacious and illegal rationale by the LAPD Commission to turn this city into a police state. The occupation of LA is having a devastating impact on the lives of immigrant communities, the economy of the city, and the future of the country. Protests and dissent cannot be allowed to be crushed or curtailed by budgetary excuses. The people must be able to have their say. And this past week, we saw massive force of U.S. military and ICE agents storm MacArthur Park with Border Patrol chiefs saying, "I don't work for Karen Bass. Better get used to it now because this is the new normal. We will go anywhere, anytime we want in LA." This cannot stand. We demand protesters' First Amendment right to be defended and protected. We demand the LAPD and the City Police Commission approve the special events permits that have been applied for.
Thank you.
Next, we have Grace Yu.
This is your last warning for disrupting. Sir, any permits that come before the commission will be appropriately reviewed and the decision will be made. It will not be made today. Ma'am, go ahead.
Chief, my name is Grace Yu, and I'm co-chair of the Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Committee of the United Neighborhoods Neighborhood Council. I'm here today to present questions from community members regarding the safety of Angelenos. We are aware of LAPD's longstanding Special Order 40, which prohibits working in conjunction with federal immigration enforcement. However, not collaborating with federal government on ICE raids is insufficient. We believe it is crucial for LAPD to protect and serve the public. And while protecting people is never easy, the added layer of protecting residents from our own federal government is truly amazing. We believe that all legal means must be used to protect people in all circumstances, especially against what appear to be highly irregular and potentially illegal methods of apprehending individuals on the streets. The Mayor's Executive Directive Order 12 requests LAPD's plan to respond to and defend immigrant communities and specifically asks for community feedback. I'm here this morning to bring forth a few questions from our community members. Question number one, How is public space distinguished from private space in a way that dictates when LAPD can intervene? Question number 2. It seems that cases of hot pursuit by federal agents are deceptive and negate private space privileges because the federal agents are not following our well-established American due process laws. Federal agents are using guerrilla tactics, and we are acting as if there is nothing we can do. Please deeply consider how to protect people when federal agents are acting illegally under the color of law protections. Where an arrest warrant may not exist, does the distinction between public and private space become immaterial? Are there any, question number 3, are there any designated safe harbors, such as hospitals, schools, and religious institutions where individuals can seek protection? Question number 4, how can Angelenos help? What are our rights as private citizens to protest the ICE raids? It is too easy and convenient to say that there is no power to intervene beyond maintaining peace and safety. As a democratic society, we must ensure the safety of all people, regardless of documentation status. I will conclude with a concept by Hannah Arendt on the banality of evil. Ordinary people can participate in horrific acts without necessarily being inherently evil or malicious. In a similar vein, when good people do nothing, that is when evil flourishes. And just in case I didn't get through, I have copies for you with the last few sentences.
Thank you.
Next, we have Quinn.
Oh, well, Jim, you said you're committed to transparency and accountability this week. What about the fact that each week, families of loved ones who have been murdered by you all come into this room demanding transparency and accountability, but you, this rubber stamping body, is not here to be transparent. You're here every week to continue to mop up the blood of those you kill, and you pretend every week like you have a purpose here. But the reality is, not only have you absolutely been useless in preventing or minimizing the sheer bloodthirst of your piglets, you've actually helped to hide the fact that your murderous nature grows. You've reported 22 officer-involved shootings, up to 34% compared to 2024. And you say that you saw a decrease in shooting victims in the recent past, and some increased numbers in shootings, which, Jim, you cite to be in part a result of gang violence. We know the real shootings were at the hands of the police, and the real increase in shooting victims was because of the 22 officer-involved shootings, 17 of which resulted in hits. And your custody deaths have increased by 50% since last year. If you really want to rely on stats, know that the numbers reveal that it is you, Jim, who runs the biggest murderous group in Los Angeles. But while you all choose to reduce your violence to numbers, we know that each gunshot and each injury or murder at the hands of LAPD is a person, with a family and a mother and brothers and sisters. And none of this is to mention that this past week, we saw young children in chains just down the street. And Jim, you said again, no, you lied again, that you don't participate in immigration enforcement. I have a video of your piglets at an incidence of civil immigration enforcement, an ICE raid, where undocumented community members were abducted, not because they're criminals, but because they're undocumented. It was not criminal investigation or criminal immigration enforcement. It was civil immigration enforcement. And your pigs on video say they're there aiding ICE. Someone asks, are you aiding an ICE operation? What are you doing here? And your officer says, quote, aiding them being ICE. Beyond being there in person, it's your ALPR cameras leased by Flock Safety throughout the city that track children, their parents, and their families on the way to work, on their way home, on their way to school. I'm getting the sense that you still don't understand your own relationship with Flock. Flock Safety owns cameras. You asked them to put up more cameras. You lease the camera data, and anyone can lease the camera data, including ICE. But you put the cameras up. Then you share the data with other agencies, including Glendale PD or with fusion centers, and that data is directly sent to DHS and ICE. And this past year, you've done so much work to attempt to erase your active participation in ICE raids and abductions, but one needs to simply leave this windowless room to see. Nearly every fucking raid I've seen, LAPD is there. holding it down, beating on and arresting community members. And you, Jim, Rasha, Fabian, Arrow, and Teresa, you hold the chains of those children just as the masked ICE agents do. Fuck all of you.
Next, we have Hamid.
I think William Good already just said it all, so I'm not going to repeat. But I think it's very much in line with the escalation that continues to happen, because we're seeing LAPD on its historic track of again being the most murderous police department in the country. So that escalation is not in their daily routine policing operation. That escalation, absolutely, because it's not just how they shot Richie and Jason and Shakir, it's the targeted shooting. We've seen it with our own eyes. We've seen it that how they are actually targeting for people's groin areas. And a lot of people on June 8th, right there in downtown Los Angeles, were rushed to emergency services. We witnessed that ourselves. So, you know, with all the goddamn millions of dollars of de-escalation training and all that pomp and show, this is what it comes back to. I also want to talk about the new executive order that the mayor published on, which is executive order, what is that, 12th, on 11th of July, that talks about ICE and that talks about immigration raids. And it repeats the same old bullshit tired thing that 46 years ago, LAPD issued Special Order 40. That's what this man, the chief of police, keeps on repeating the same thing. Either they are completely asleep at the switch, or they're liars, or they're extremely incompetent. And having all of the above is an lethal combination, because that is exactly how it is. Because constantly saying that we don't share personnel and resources with the federal government is the biggest lie, which you are sitting on top of that heap of lies. What about the fusion centers, the Joint Regional Intelligence Center? Doesn't LAPD have its staff in there where ICE is present and information is being gathered and information is being shared? What about the resources? LAPD is a part of the board of governance of the Joint Regional Intelligence Center. What about all of that? What about like just in partnership with LASD, because they are the fiduciaries of JERIC as well? Let's talk about, Kuyen spoke about license plate readers. What about that direct connection through flock safety and various other systems? What about the record management systems? And how CopLink or Crime Tracer is linked up with various other data sharing systems? I mean, you can keep on masking and you can keep on lying, but one thing about technology is that it keeps on moving. It keeps on moving and keeps on moving. So when we talk about this, another executive directive of number 12 or Special Order 40 or the sanctuary ordinance, it comes back to the same thing. And last thing, this thing also talks about that there's a working group that is being formed between the LAPD, the Police Commission, and immigrant rights organizations to get feedback. Well, we sent you a 10-page letter 3 months ago, dated April 15th. Complete complete silence. What more of a feedback or expose are you looking for? Not even a...
Thank you.
Next, we have Sabra Wadi.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for this time. I am Sabra Wadi, president of the Kingdom Day Parade. This is Dr. Adrian Dove, chairman. And we are here to speak about the, it's actually in the area of the consent agenda, and a consent agenda item. We wanted to speak to you now because I think when you get to that part of the meeting, then we aren't allowed to speak. I don't know.
What we want to do is an item in the consent agenda. We would like to pull it out of the consent agenda, which has no discussion, and discuss it because it's an extraordinary item. We are, for the 43rd year, applied for a permit to put on the Kingdom Day Parade, the largest celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King's life in all of America.
If I may, please continue, but your item is not on the consent agenda for today.
It's not?
No, it's not.
It's
But
item
please
for
continue.
discussion, so this is the time to discuss it now?
Please continue in public comment. We'll take it up when it does go on the agenda, but it's not on the agenda for today.
It's not on the agenda?
It is not. We only have one item on consent today, and it's Narcotics Analysis Laboratory Trust Fund.
We don't want to be in consent. We want to be discussed because we have two contradicting items.
So please continue.
Okay. First item is that we have an exhibit, which is a copy of the permit issued to produce a parade on,
January 19th, 2026.
and that's our 43rd parade that we've been doing every year. And
So we
It's been-
were permitted, and then it was.
and it was signed by Django. And the date that it was signed by the commission was June 25th.
Right. With all due respect, you've got the agenda for a different hearing, a different meeting. It's for the.
No.
This officer will explain it to you.
Well,
This is the police commission.
I'm giving background on and building up to one thing that I have. What I want to have an item for today is a letter from Django Sibley saying that your permit that was issued and signed by the commission is rescinded. I've never heard of anything like that before. And we called to find out why it was rescinded, and we got conflicting reasons that this, that, or the other. But it's our 42nd year, and we want to know what is it wrong this year than different. I also want to take this opportunity to give our comment about Chief McDonald. We think he's doing a great job. We'd like to say something positive about the chief, hail to the chief. And to the commission, chairman, and the full commissioners, we think you're doing a great job. But what we want to do is pull back this reversal of a permit that was read. We've already been to ABC and the other networks and signed contracts to put the parade on like we always do. And now we're getting notes from someplace inside the department saying, inside the commission, saying that we should consider somebody else that has filed, namely Danny Bakewell, has filed an application to do a parade at the same time on the same day, different this year from all other years. And so.
Thank you both. We're going to discuss it. Thank you, Rip.
Okay.
We're aware of the permit.
And when did we get to discuss it?
Thank you. No, we're going to discuss it outside of this meeting so the decision can get back to you. Thank you.
That is a very very important part of why we're here.
Understood.
Because the parade is 6 months away.
Understood.
Commitments to folks, but the letter says it's going to take weeks.
Okay. The commission is going to review it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Who will be deciding that? Who do we talk to?
The commission will.
When you say the commission, everybody here?
Yes.
Okay. And that would be you as chairman.
Yes, sir.
I look forward to
Megan.
presenting our case.
Thank you.
Up next, we have Megan.
If you're a middle-aged white man, you get to talk whenever you want and you get your questions answered. That happened 2 weeks ago as well. I really want to welcome all the people that are here for the first time today to continue coming so that you can see for yourself the double standards and racism and classism that's on display in this very meeting. Just an incredible stream of lies from Chief Pig McDonald today. Let's start with the statement, policing is often dangerous. It's just statistically untrue. Being a garbage man is often dangerous, but standing around eating sandwiches and playing Candy Crush on your phone is just not very dangerous. How disgusting to spend your chief's report defending why LAPD shootings are up 30% from this point last year, despite homicides being down 30%, and we're on track to have the lowest homicide rates in 60 years. Typically, police shootings trend down along with violent crime, but not the good old LAPD. Do you know what else is up? In custody deaths, you sick fucks. Earl, of course, had to pat himself on the back for visiting a wounded officer. Just wondering if you've ever visited someone shot by LAPD. Seems like that would maybe be the job of an accountability body. But we all know that this body is a sham. You are a sham. You have no integrity. Rasha will never miss an opportunity to kiss some cop ass. It's particularly disgusting to do so by thanking the chief for being proactive in justifying why officer shootings are up 30%. Do your job. A federal judge had to order the LAPD to stop shooting journalists with rubber bullets. But the LAPD is the greatest police department in the world, right, Rasha? I've heard you say it many times. LAPD is running license plate searches for ICE to help them kidnap people off our street, but no questions about the order from the judge or any of that. Rasha Shields is in favor of the LAPD shooting journalists. Garcia asking how LAPD is building community trust with the immigrant community. Absolutely priceless. Teresa calls an increase in officer-involved shootings troubling. Dead Angelinos, troubling. Nothing more Orwellian and chilling than hearing McDonald talk about building trust with Los Angelinos as he efficiently goes about killing them and abetting the federal military force kidnapping them. You are all assisting Donald Trump. You are all complicit in the rise of authoritarianism and fascism. I really want to encourage the people who are here for the first time today to keep coming, and you will understand that coming here and asking them for help is fucking futile because they're all the same. ICE is the same as LAPD. Fuck ICE and fuck LAPD. You guys are gross.
Aiden?
Hello. It's hard to follow such an inspired viewpoint, but I will do my best. A smarter person than me once summarized that how we got here is essentially that the Constitution is a framework for oppression. What that means is the Constitution was created not to protect the rights of everyone, but to enshrine structures of power that benefited a select few, namely white men, some of whom we see on this board. Let's see. Likewise, the LAPD's policies are not created to protect citizens. They're made as a smokescreen to obfuscate and distract from the department's criminal violence. The LAPD has shown itself to be criminally unable to reform. There's no accountability, including from this body, and what few vague and half-hearted attempts are announced do not bear fruit. For example, we all watched Rick Litton, the guy who they were talking about before, shoot several people basically for no reason. We haven't heard shit about that since then, and no one expects to, because the LAPD never does anything about bad behavior. That's the reason why the community doesn't trust you. That's the reason why people are increasingly understanding that you should be abolished and not reformed. And that's the reason why ultimately you are responsible for your own demise. You're responsible for violence against officers because you are supporting structures that oppress and marginalize people. And you are doing it with really no sense of accountability or higher guiding principles aside from protecting officers, backing the blue, keeping it all in-house incestuous, and not really making the changes that people hope or expect to see you make. I had a really funny conversation with my mom about this commission. She said, "Oh, the Board of Police Commissioners meeting. I remember back in the Rodney King days. They used to really do something." I wasn't alive then, or at least I don't remember. But in my lifetime, I've never seen the LAPD make meaningful change in the direction of accountability or improving public trust. And the reason I believe I haven't seen that is because the LAPD is not interested in doing those things. The LAPD is interested in overtime. The LAPD is interested in inflicting state violence on the populace. And the LAPD is interested, above all else, in protecting themselves and their interests, whether those are commercial real estate interests, pensions, overtime, bonuses, newer helicopters to fly around and harass people in and, wake people up in the dead of night. Surveillance technology, RTCCs so that cops can sit around and eat donuts and watch people on surveillance cameras, to profile and racialize them and criminalize them. Anyway, all this to say, as the previous speaker said, no one really expects anything from you, but we're here to shed light on the fact that you don't really do anything and can't even pay attention in the meeting. We'll have to get Rasha an Adderall prescription.
Thank you.
Grace?
22 officer-involved shootings, 17 people shot, 3 people dead in LAPD custody just in 2025. That's what you're reporting today. And what do you even have to say for it? You present these deaths like they're just fluctuations in data, as if the violence your department unleashes is something to be managed with spreadsheets and PR. But these are not numbers. These are lives stolen by a system designed to do exactly that: kill, cage, and disappear. LAPD intentionally uses selective metrics to manufacture legitimacy while refusing to release full details on police violence. Week after week, families of loved ones murdered by police come to these meetings demanding information from closed investigations, only to be met with your lies and your abandonment veiled by performative sympathy. You hide behind buzzwords like constitutional policing and community partnerships, but no amount of rebranding can mask the blood on all of your hands. If body cams and implicit bias training worked, we wouldn't be seeing increases in shootings and in custody deaths. What we're seeing is not the failure of policy, but the brutal reality of the project of policing itself. You cannot reform this violence. You can't humanize a system built to terrorize. And still, you push the lie that you're under-resourced. Today's report shows you're deploying 299 more officers than you're authorized to. On top of that, you've built a paramilitary ecosystem of reserve officers, cadets, and so-called civilian staff, while our unhoused neighbors are brutalized, healthcare is unattainable, and public schools are crumbling. You're not short on resources. You are the bloat. You are the crisis. You're the largest line item in the city's budget and the biggest threat to its people. You also continue to collaborate with ICE and federal agencies while the city hides behind the false label of sanctuary city. We know your suspicious activity reports flow directly to fusion centers. We know your ALPR data is queried and accessed by DHS. And we know your field interview cards are used to track, mark, and deport. Sanctuary is a myth and you're the enforcers of its lie. LAPD wants to make deportation seamless, quiet, and bureaucratic. LAPD doesn't need to knock on someone's door when they've already drawn the map and handed it to ICE. This isn't public safety. This is counterinsurgency. You have turned this city into a laboratory of war, where the movement of every body is monitored, where grief is met with tear gas and rubber bullets, and where no one, not even a child, is safe from state violence. But we will not forget the names of the people you've stolen and murdered and killed. We will not be pacified by reports and reforms, and will not rest until your entire carceral regime is dismantled root to branch.
Thank you.
Siobhan? Mr. President, that was our final speaker.
Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item number 3, the consent agenda item. We have one report, department's report relative to the Narcotics Analysis Laboratory Trust Fund expenditure. Are there any questions or comments?
Well, that wasn't the last speaker. That was just the last speaker there. There were other speakers on Zoom. Audit, we need to do a little Karen correct on that. That wasn't 15 speakers or 45 minutes. Well, guys, okay. Tilty, we are going to be going live in 56 minutes to do some breathe artwork. They said that was the last speaker. Apparently they don't consider the Zoom people speakers. Yep. Yep, audit needs to do a little Karen correct there. Right, I don't know. Okay, Tilty, I need to get a few errands done real quick before we go live. And I've got it set up to where both of us can stream. You go do some dancing there, Lara. If not, give me a holler. I have information for you. So one of these days we're going to connect. Okay, talk to you guys in a little bit.